Hi, welcome to our podcast, Generation X and Z Go to the Movies.
My name is Karis. I am a Generation Xer. We tend to be independent, well-educated with huge student loan debts and sometimes critical.
I'm Sydney. I'm a Gen Z. We are known to be the creative multitaskers with the shortest attention spans on the planet.
Once a week, we venture out of our heated lazy boy recliners and today ended up going through the snowy Iowa weather to bring you a review of the latest and potentially greatest new movie on the big screen. What do we see today, Sid?
We saw Maleficent. Mistress of Evil.
That's my impression of the horns. So we're actually going to rate this first. So if you haven't seen the movie, we don't want to spoil it for you. But we want to give you an idea if it's something that you should go see, if you should wait and rent it, or not even bother to see it at all.
And the reason why we're rating it now is in case you are interested in seeing it in the theater and do not want anything spoiled, we are going to rate it first so you know, and then you can come back and listen to it after you watch the movie.
And if you're sick of hearing our dogs bark and make noise, feel free to send us money through our email so we can get a nice studio and you don't have to listen to them anymore. Because I'm kind of tired of it too. Great.
Oh, man.
Do we want to rate?
Yeah, why don't you go first this time?
I gotta say, after watching some dark movies about really tough things, I really found this refreshing, and I gave it an 8.
All right, and I gave it a 9.
Wow.
So why'd you give it an 8?
Because I'm critical. I'm hard on movies. If I'm going to spend that amount of money, I really want it to be good. And I realize I'm not spending money because you're working there.
But for the audience, so most people do have to pay full price if they want to see it in the movie theater. So it's good to know.
I feel like if I'm going to pay that much, I really want to see something good. So my attention span during the movie never flittered, and that doesn't happen a lot. So
it had a solid plot line that wasn't too complex. It wasn't too simple. It was like, I thought it was really nice. Yeah. It was really nice.
I think both Sid and I have a respect for costuming and a respect for we like to watch Face Off a lot, and anything where you talked a lot about prosthetics, and go into that.
Well, I just have a strong appreciation for like Maleficent's character and her character design itself. I mean, Angelina Jolie is beautiful.
Yeah. You
throw those sharp prosthetic cheekbones and that beautiful, to make her this fae. It's gorgeous work. She looks like
you believe she's not human. You
right.
believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough to just sit there and watch her act. I mean, it's unbelievable. She's really good. It makes me wonder, could the movie have made it as well as what it did without her? I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of strong actresses out there, but
you bet.
She just fits that role.
She does.
Like, I honestly think of her as Maleficent whenever I think of her as an actress, even though she does do other things.
Well, she has those dark features that are gorgeous, but you're kind of scared of her in some ways. But so she fits that kind of dichotomous character, and I love that about her. So, spoiler alert.
Yeah, we are going to start going into the actual movie and dig into it. We thought we'd start off with a summary of the first movie, so in case you've gone and seen it, haven't seen the first movie, but you want to kind of get an idea of the story before that.
Absolutely.
That would be helpful.
And just to note, we did not see the first one, and both of us kind of were like looking at each other oddly during the whole show, like, crap, I wish I would have seen the first movie again. And we both said that to each other after we got out of the movie. We're like, ugh, because I was just sitting there trying to find context in what was there. So,
and when we got home and we did watch the first movie, and as a suggestion, I think we would both say watch the first movie. It's not like it's not a great movie on its own, but it's so much easier to follow.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of movies that I can watch a second time. I just don't watch movies a second time. Maleficent and Maleficent 2, I could watch again, both of them. I really thought, and a lot of it is, not that it's the greatest storyline on the face of the earth, but the costumes and the way, the staging and the creatures, I loved it.
The CGI is amazing.
CGI is amazing. Okay, so Maleficent 1 talks about, it starts with a young girl, Maleficent, and it shows her kind of growing up in the moors. She's a fairy, and she's living in this kind of magical forest realm with a human kingdom kind of next door, or part of that. And she falls in love with a Scottish man, or a young man, who's a peasant. His name is Stefan. Or is it Stefan? I always say Stefan.
Yeah.
But Stefan has a flaw. He has a character flaw. He's human. His ambition is so strong that it kind of outdoes the love that he has for her. So what happens is the king at the time, the king, whose name is Henry, has a bad relationship with the Moors and the fairy people, and he gets upset, and essentially they end up, Maleficent and the creatures of the moor get into a conflict with Henry, and Maleficent mortally wounds this king, and on his deathbed the king says, anybody who can bring death to Maleficent, or that evil witch, can have my throne. And so Stefan is in love with her. He goes and is with her in the moor, and he ends up drugging her and is going to kill her, but he can't do it because he loves her. So he cuts her wings off, and he brings those wings back to the king, and the king says, that's enough for me. You now, hi, puppy.
Hi, Betty.
You now,
say hi.
Hi. Hello, puppy.
All right.
You now can have the kingdom. So he becomes the king. His ambition kind of takes over, and he marries the princess at the time, and just breaks Maleficent's heart. The Moors becomes very dark, but she takes over as the protector of the Moor. Is it Moor or Moors?
The Moors. And she's pissed.
Yeah, and I mean, even the scenery changes because of her anger and frustration. She no longer believes in love, neither does Stefan, but the new king Stefan, and his queen end up having a baby, and there's a christening, and all the people are invited except, you guessed it, you know who, Maleficent. She gets pissed, so she just decides, I'm gonna come to this christening.
Crash the christening.
And ends up going and looking at the baby, and she puts a curse that when this child turns 16, she's gonna prick her finger on a spindle, and the king interrupts us, please don't let anything happen to her. So she kind of shifts and changes her mind, because she still loves Stefan. So she says, fine, she's gonna sleep forever unless her true love, she gets a kiss from her true love. And the king gets so upset, he sends this young baby, whose name is Aurora, off with 3 pixies, and says, keep her safe no matter what, don't let Maleficent near her. He declares, burn all the spindles. Of course Maleficent's gonna stick some spindle down in the dungeon or something, because you know what's gonna happen, or there wouldn't be a plot. So,
and don't bring her back.
Yep.
Don't bring Aurora back until after her 16th.
Yep. So in the moor, she's brought up in this cottage by the pixies, but she kind of flitters around. Pixies are kind of bad parents. I'm not saying that. I don't have an issue with pixies, okay, for those of you that probably believe they're real, but
offend the pixie lovers over here. Gotta be careful.
So Aurora's like, chilling out in the moors, and Maleficent comes across her and kind of keeps her safe, and Maleficent ends up falling in love with this little girl, and ends up kind of somewhat mothering her.
Calls her Beastie. I think that's the cutest little thing.
Yep. So this girl, Aurora, does come across the prince, whose name is Philip, and they start kind of falling in love with each other. And she goes and has a conversation with Maleficent, and she tells Maleficent that she wants to live with her in the moors. And Maleficent's like, that's great. So Aurora goes back to tell the pixies, and the pixies get so upset by this that they go, your father's really the king. And they tell her the truth, and she freaks out. She runs back to the castle. She ends up...
Well, she runs to Maleficent first.
Yep.
And she didn't know it was Maleficent until she went ahead and revealed that to her. Then she was really upset.
Goes to the kingdom. When the king finds her, he's like, crap, she's not 16 yet, or she's about to be 16. He sticks her in, locks her up in a room, and the curse is so strong, she ends up following this curse, like she's Walking Dead or something. Where's the spindle? Where's the spindle? Of course, she pricks herself and falls asleep. Eventually...
So Maleficent has already decided by the time that she ran off, oh crap, I gotta get this prince together so he can come kiss her and wake her up from this curse. She sneaks him into the castle and kind of pushes him in, and like, so that the kingdom thinks it's their idea and they don't know she's there.
It's kind of funny because Philip's like, is she dead? And he's like, I gotta kiss a dead person. You can I don't even know how I feel about her yet. Yeah. So Philip ends up kissing her and nothing. And Maleficent feels so horrible. She goes over to her and she's apologizing and she's crying and she gives her a kiss on the forehead. Boom, Aurora wakes up. You think it's all done, everybody's happy Disney ending. Nope. So she takes Aurora, she's headed out, and here comes King, what's his face? Oh, no,
Stefan.
Yeah, they're about to leave, and this you learn in the story that iron is poisonous or catastrophic to fairies, and an iron net comes on them. And so she calls up Deval, how do you say that?
Diaval, which is her raven servant type situation. We kind of skipped over it, but he was saved by her. So he basically was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to you. And so she turns him into a dragon, and Aurora's like, crap. And she decides, I'm going to run and get Maleficent's wings. So she breaks the wings out. The minute the wings are out, whoop, they fly back onto Maleficent. They have this huge fight scene, and they end up, of course, on the top of the castle, and they fight, and whoop, down goes the king, and he dies. And because he's dead, Aurora is made princess of both the Moors and the human kingdom. And it ends with she is only of the Moors, because that's when it gets into the second story.
Actually, I read, and it is of both kingdoms.
Really?
And this new movie that comes out is of a neighboring kingdom.
Gotcha.
Which was like, because I thought that too. But at the very, very end, in her coronation, Philip either blows her a kiss or something. I don't remember. Damn it! It's too much crap. They smile at each other, kind of foreshadowing what might come. So that's the end of Maleficent 1.
Alright, so going into the movie that we're actually reviewing. Do they call it Maleficent 2?
Oh, I do, because I can't remember anything.
It was called Mistress of Evil. It was basically a sequel. So this plays 5 years after the death of King Stefan. Basically, Aurora is just ruling over the Moors, and everything's all happy and good. She has a great relationship with Maleficent. I mean, they make each other happy.
Oh, yeah.
I just find their whole relationship very
odd.
It's odd, but it's like it's really cool. And
it is, yeah, definitely. I just
this,
found her annoying, though. I don't know about you. Aurora is just kind of annoying.
I think overall, as a Disney princess, she's not up there on my ranking.
It's like she ate too much lead paint as a... I don't know.
Oh my.
Can we get sued for that? No, I don't.
Probably not.
Okay.
They probably don't. Disney probably doesn't care about two people sitting in their
They don't care about
kitchen.
as long as she looks nice.
So, the first scene is of these humans, and they are scouring the moors for, I'm assuming, magical stuff. They're poaching the land.
Oh yeah.
And
Magic
Maleficent ends up killing two of them. One of them gets back with the magical thing that he needed back to the kingdom. That's just kind of foreshadowing the whole story. But back to Aurora. She's Queen of the Moors. Maleficent's the protector of the Moors. She ends up getting called by like Prince Philip to talk to her, and he ends up proposing.
That took forever, by the way.
Going into that?
Yeah, it was like, how long can we prance around the moors?
Exactly.
I was a little annoyed by that.
Okay. I mean, we get the
It was a
scenery.
slow start.
The scenery's beautiful, and yeah. But he proposes, and then he goes back home, and he talks to his father, who's very excited for him. He's like, "Yes, we're gonna have someone here." I liked that.
He was a cool dude.
And the mother seemed a little more reluctant. And she decides, all right, you're going to invite both Aurora and Maleficent to dinner. So...
You ever notice, like, Disney always has to have a bitchy woman in everything?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah. The one thing about this movie was it was kind of predictable from the beginning. Which, I mean, it's Disney, so it's for the younger audience, but... So they end up going to dinner, and Maleficent goes very reluctantly. She does not want to be a part of it. And they sit down to dinner, and the queen is starting to taunt Maleficent. You know, just saying, oh, there was this rumor that you put a curse on this girl, and, you know, just trying everything she could to make Maleficent go off because she did not like her at all. She wanted to get rid of her.
But remember, like, the reason that she's putting that curse out there is because she's about to use that to her advantage.
Yes. So she's egging her on for a reason. And eventually Maleficent just snaps. She acts angrily. She pops out of her seat. She's got, you know, all of her green flames around her.
Yeah.
And seemingly she curses King John into a eternal sleep. Maleficent, you know, says she didn't do it. Nobody's believing her, especially
except the audience.
Yeah, and especially Aurora, which breaks Maleficent's heart. And she flies out of the castle. She shatters the window and flies out. And
Aurora stayed there.
Aurora stayed with them. That's
like,
because the queen kind of...
I was not happy
convinced her.
I about went, Sydney, you better side with me if this ever happens. Or I'll have green shit coming out of my...
And so she flies out of the castle, and this was all part of this queen's plan. Her assistant goes up to the roof of this castle and shoots Maleficent down with a iron whatever she had there. It was a cool new weapon, apparently. And Maleficent
with that redheaded, like, archer lady.
She was fucked up.
Oh, she was weird.
She never got normal.
I hated her from the beginning, but I loved her. But I was like, why make her a redhead? It's like, ooh, redhead. I'm going to kill everybody.
Cookie, Mad Hatter, like, everybody's redheaded.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Very astute of you. But yeah, she shoots her down, and Maleficent drops into the sea or the ocean or big body of water.
I was not expecting what happened next. I was like, what is this? I mean, I was glad it happened, but I was like, what?
So she ends up, this redhead lady's watching, and
do that again.
I just shot down Maleficent.
I'm watching. I'm about to play my organ of death.
The clouds basically kind of part, and this creature, black wings, dark, shoots down after Maleficent, and you get into it, and you see her being pulled up, and the creature looks like her.
That was nuts. I was
like,
what?
Not
expecting that.
And she flies up into the sky, and they're like, where'd she go? Because the redheaded lady was still watching, and she ends up reporting back to the queen, like, this thing that looks just like her.
It's like a creature-y thing.
Flew her up into the sky, and she's gone. So, they're a little worried. So, why don't you go ahead and pick up a little bit?
The next part was highly confusing. It was like she woke up in a black and white intestine, and I was like...
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It was seriously like she was in an intestine, and every time she'd move around, it was just like, what? I don't know. Somebody was on crack that thought of that one. It just was weird.
So she wakes up.
She's injured.
She's injured, but she sees that she has bandages wrapped around her, like she's...
I think they were just trying to have Angelina Jolie be like half naked to get higher.
I mean, she looked great.
Just me saying that, everybody, the husbands will be, I'm going to the movies. Let's go see Maleficent. Your husband's saying, let's go see Maleficent. It's because he heard half naked.
Ask if they've watched this podcast first. She ends up kind of searching through this intestine thing, if you want to call it that. And I don't know what to call it either.
Well, didn't they, like, it was the darkened cave or the place where they... Mm-hmm. So whatever these things are, did they ever give it a name?
She's called a fae.
Oh, a fae, okay.
But we can just say fairy because it's a type of fairy.
So we find there's more of them. There's a lot more of them.
There's a whole society
that have been hiding out.
And she kind of slowly gains trust of this one guy who happened to save her, and so she kind of sticks with him, and he shows her this whole society of these underground fairies that are in hiding because of how humans treat them.
Ooh, look at Maleficent. She can spew green shit that, like,
she's
kicks
special.
Ass. None of the other fays have this. And they're like, oh, she's going to save us. Mm-hmm. Maleficent kind of hardens her heart to humans, I think, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Because her daughter turns on her.
It. She's pissed. She ends up not even joining them, that they're planning this war against the humans now because the fact that she's powerful.
Yeah.
And probably
So what causes that initial, like, I forget, what causes the initial fight to start up? The fight takes forever. There's a lot of humor in this one, too, that's unexpected.
And a lot of it was just with her character, playing off her character with Aurora, as well as, she's just got such an interesting personality, and I think...
Well, and that Philip's mother, she is a villain. Holy moly. She did a great job. Mm-hmm. All the actors and actresses are very strong in this.
And during this whole thing, she was planning on this stuff. Back to, like, the poachers at the beginning, they were collecting these magical items for the weapons and for,
there was something in these magical flowers that could hurt or harm the creatures. So the Philip's mother's goal is to rid the whole moors of all these different creatures. Mm-hmm.
She wants control of it. She wants everything to be to the humans. Mm-hmm. Whereas her husband, who's now stuck in this sleep,
which
wanted to make peace. Yeah. Well, he's in this curse that Maleficent supposedly did. And this queen goes to kiss him. Doesn't wake up, obviously. She doesn't have love for him. And Yeah, ended
Well, you
up
pretty
being-
much know how it can end because every Disney movie ends like that.
Yeah, so he's asleep during the whole movie.
We won't tell you the whole thing, but it's like we all know it ends pretty happily.
Right. So it kind of, there's two different plot lines of, you know, this thing with the fairies and the humans that fight there, but also getting this king woken up by Maleficent's curse. Like, she's the only one that can do something about it. So,
Now,
kinda...
I read that the whole story of Maleficent was loosely inspired by Sleeping Beauty, which was released by Disney in 1959. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's kind of nice because, you know, in the actual story, she's woken up by, like, the old story, she was woken up by the kiss of the prince, and, like, it kind of goes back into, oh, that's not how it really went, and told the story from Maleficent's point of view, and showing that she's not this awful villain that the original movie portrayed her to be.
Well, and it was also nice that it wasn't like, oh, a man saving the day with a kiss. It's like, yeah, a mother's love can be really strong. A mother's love can be really strong too. It was really neat how it fashioned itself off Sleeping Beauty, and it was a different outcome. You know, it was definitely one of those movies that you could go in and escape reality for a couple hours. You know, it was 2 hours, wasn't it? Yeah. Great costumes. I think one of the reasons why Maleficent is loved by so many is the simplicity of her costume and how neat it is. I gotta say, I've looked at a lot of Halloween photos of people playing Maleficent, and man, they're nowhere near Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing to appreciate about this movie is there's so many great aspects to it. So even if this is not your type of movie, you can sit back and appreciate all the work that went into the CGI, all of Angelina Jolie's great acting, or the fact that she's just hot. I mean, if you're just a bored dad.
Yeah.
Bad advice.
And you don't have anything to do.
If you have an appreciation for makeup, that's
Yeah.
a movie to see. Like,
She really didn't look human. I mean, that was one of the things I was looking for with
well, I remember
Maleficent.
what you mentioned to me. You were kind of worried that, like, they made her lose weight for because her collarbones were popping out so much. And I think it was just beautiful prosthetic work.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, she's a thin lady, but that's not natural.
I've done a lot of reading on Angelina Jolie, and when she, as a person, when she gets upset in her life, she stops eating. So I worry about her health, and that's why when you see those collarbones, you're right, they did it so well that I was a little nervous, like, oh crap, she's really not that small. I worry about people in Hollywood because they go through hell sometimes for being famous.
Yeah, there's just a lot to appreciate about the movie all around. I mean, Disney always has a great production quality for the most part.
Well, and you can just tell. I mean, you know, Angelina Jolie and, like, her history with children. She tries like heck in the movie to be all mad, like, I don't like children, but there's, like, love just coming through. I'm sure on the set she's like, come in. You could just tell she loves kids.
And I think they did a really good job as well of, you know, there were a lot of time skips in this movie. And, like, I think they did a great job matching people that looked pretty similar. And, you know, you believe that this person was aging, and that's what they look like now.
You bet.
It's a good job.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. As far as going to the movie theater, renting it, not going at all, what would you say?
For Disney fans, go to the movie.
Yeah.
'Cause I think overall, it's a movie worth seeing in the theater because it's got beautiful the noise or the sound effects. They're all very, very I don't know. It has a depth to it, so it's really nice to listen to it in surround sound. And it's beautiful. All the cinematics, seeing it all on the big screen, you can take it all in, and it's cool. What did you think?
I agree with you completely. If you're not a Disney fan, and, you know, I think those of us that go to these types of movies go because we love Disney, and it's one of those that you're not going to do it justice by seeing it on your screen at home.
No.
The musical score was really phenomenal. When I notice a musical score, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm no big like expertise in movies or anything, but man, if I can forget my life for a couple hours, you're doing a great job.
See, and I think it would be an enjoyable movie if you're not a Disney fan too. Like, oh, your kid's dragging you there, or your wife, or whatever. It's still enjoyable in different aspects. And
I think the one thing with this show was I felt like it had more humor in this second one, which I appreciate. I really appreciate humor more and more the older I get.
Yeah.
So I really like that about it.
And it was a little like quirky kind of humor. It wasn't
Yeah.
even like your typical like comedy. It was good.
And there's those times where you go, oh, okay, Disney, same BS, different day, but I guess it wouldn't be a Disney movie if it didn't have that.
You have to have your sad princess who isn't capable of doing anything.
Yeah. The evil mother, I mean, she provided a lot of humor too. So I enjoyed that part.
Kooky red lady.
Yeah. The kooky red lady.
I think I was trying to dissect her half the movie.
Yeah.
Why is she here?
Yeah, what is your role? Why are you doing this?
But it was funny nevertheless.
Definitely. Yeah. So definitely go and see it if it's one of those that you are questioning whether or not to see it in the theater. I would say it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not the be-all, end-all of everything, but it's good. All right.
Well,
signing off.
Gen Z.
Generation X. Go to the movies.
Woo!
We'll see you soon.